Hello everybody, thank you so much for clicking on my video. I hope you guys are all doing well. If you're working, if you're driving, if you're home, wherever you are, I hope you're just enjoying the moment. So I just want to say that this podcast today is going to be about just Hawaii and like the history and just pretty much how they were overtaken, and how like the Queen of Hawaii was backed into a corner, so let's move on. Before I start, I just want to say all praises and glory be to God. May He guide us all. May He make sure that the steps we are taking today will be fruitious, We take a lot of steps and sometimes it's just confusing because we feel like we just don't know where we're going, but it's just nice to know that God is guiding our steps and He's the one who's making sure we're heading into the right direction. So just wanted to say that. All right, so moving on. On January 16, 1895, two men got to this woman's residence who is known as Liliuokalani. They arrested her and they escorted her to the room where she would be held captive. So she was pretty much held captive in her own residence. And following their recent takeover of power, a group stole her diaries, ransacked her home, claimed her lands, and abducted her. This person that we're talking about is the Queen of Hawaii. They were hiding the Queen of Hawaii from her people and from her land. So she also held power during one of its most turbulent eras. American missionaries first came to Hawaii 75 years ago. They ascended to power very fast, establishing companies and illegal settlements on previously occupied territory. They claimed the territory and turned it into plantations. There was a close collaboration with them and the Ali'i. So the Ali'i was like a referred Hawaiian royalty. Back then there was like hierarchies and stuff. So the Ali'i were like very royal. They were like the top of the top, They were revered Hawaiian royalty, intimately associated with the gods. The Ali'i placed missionaries in positions of authority where they contributed to the establishment of Hawaii as a sovereign state with a constitutional monarchy. So I just find it interesting, did the Ali'i place these people into governmental authority by free will, or was it by force? That's just my question. I don't know. I don't think this documentary covered it, to be honest. But some of their descendants changed their minds when certain business opportunities presented themselves, such as the possibility of exporting sugar to the United States duty-free. So pretty much they were using all this land and they were just basically giving United States so much free stuff, pretty much. Even though they did pay for it, but it was just, the Hawaiian people did not like that. It was not something that they took lightly, So these same people who I'm talking about also established a political organization called the Missionary Party and started making plans to annex Hawaii and subjugate it to the United States. So Liliuokalani was born into an Ali'i family, as were her siblings. So her brother, Kalikaua, took the throne in 1874, but the growing threat became apparent 13 years into his rule. So poor guy, he's trying to be a king in an area that is being colonized and being annexed and so on and so on. An all-white militia surrounded the Missionary Party, and they called a meeting and forced the king to sign new laws. After that, known as the Bayonet Constitution, it diminished the authority of the monarchy, and it took away Native Hawaiians' rights and gave this group of white businessmen control. So when the king passed away 4 years later, Liliuokalani regretted that it was by the base and gratitude of the very persons whose fortunes he had made. So that was a statement that she made when her brother died. So it's a very interesting quote. She ascended to the throne and getting ready for combat. this position that she's going to take is not going to be easy. She knew that there's people coming from America trying to take over her land, and she's going to do the best she can to make sure her people won't be, you know, swiped or like taken off the map, you know? So the queen was committed to giving her people their freedom back, even in the face of death threats and insurgency reports. So again, her brother signed these laws to the Missionary Party, which pretty much took away power from Hawaiian people, and calculated that 2/3 of them were no longer eligible to vote. Liliuokalani was feeling very overwhelmed by requests for changes, so she created a new constitution. However, the so-called Committee of Safety, a recently formed group made up largely of Missionary Party members, hatched another scheme before she even presented it. So the Missionary Party created another party called the Committee of Safety. And it's pretty interesting why they created it. I'm going to say why. So on January 17, 1893, they staged a coup on the false pretext that this new constitution that Liliuokalani made is going to endanger American property and lives on Hawaii land. So you come to this land and you're afraid that these people are going to defend themselves from you guys who are colonizing their land. I just find it really interesting. So Queen Liliuokalani was removed from office by the Committee on Safety after more than 160 United States Marines marched to the palace. Imagine, Hawaiians during that time didn't have weapons. They probably had, you know, the weapons that they used to fight, you know, during their wars and stuff, you know, like the swords and, you know, but they came with cannons, ships, everything. Just imagine the Hawaiian people just staring at these people coming over and overpowering them, you know? So numerous protesters, thousands of native Hawaiians, some wearing hat bands that said Aloha Aine, or love of the nation. I hope I pronounced Aine right. So that's pretty sad to think about that. Like, the Hawaiian people are literally protesting. They're not protesting with anger. They're just there wearing hats saying peace and love of the nation. Like, that's very sad. It reminds me of the Native Americans when they were colonized. When the ships first arrived, they were so quick to give them love from their nation. Like, yeah, I can go on about that, but it's just interesting how the oppressors oppress people who literally come out with their arms open. So the following year, Hawaii was proclaimed a republic by the newly elected provisional government. So pretty much, yeah, like Hawaii was proclaimed a republic by the United States. So they declared that signing a new oath of allegiance was a requirement for Hawaii residents to be able to vote for work for the government. But many turned that down. I would have turned that down too. It would have been hard though. Imagine, like, in order for you to, like, imagine being in Hawaii and you're a native Hawaiian and you want to work a government job to represent your people, but in order to do that, you have to sign this new allegiance that pretty much strips away your identity as a native Hawaiian. So I just had to say that. So some of Liliuokalani's supporters attempted a counter-revolution the following year. The Republic retaliated violently, putting hundreds in jail and supposedly killing 6, but I think there was way more numbers than that. I saw documentaries that there was more than that, slain and killed. Sad. The Republic imprisoned the Queen in the palace and forced her to sign a document renouncing her throne in exchange for their release. So they were using her people as a way to have her sign these papers, because they knew how much she loved her people. So she loved her people so much to the point that she wrote songs under the constant guard that showed her love for her people. So while she was in prison, she made songs that I think people still sing to this very day. And she also created a patchwork quilt that chronicled her life. So she was doing a lot inside that chamber. Like, imagine a queen of Hawaii sitting there writing songs of love to her people and just making quilts that just resembled this new chapter of her life, right? So her supporters frequently brought her bouquets from the garden that she had dedicated to them. It's so sweet. Wrapped in newspaper, even though she was only permitted to receive news that her jailers had reviewed. So she couldn't even read newspapers from her perspective, pretty much. Like, she had to read newspapers based on like America's perspective. Like, on the newspapers, it wasn't saying that Hawaii was being colonized, so it was very sad for her to see that. She was trying to see if the world was seeing what was going on. So the Queen was put under house arrest after 8 months. So she went to Washington, D.C. with over 20,000 signatures and Hawaiian nationalists as soon as it was lifted. It's very unfortunate. Imagine, like, your home is Hawaii and you're being taken away to Washington, D.C., to America, not knowing what's going to happen to your land or to your people. So they were able to persuade Congress to renounce half of the annexation treaty there. However, the Spanish-American War broke out the following year. So on July 7, 1898, President William McKinley proclaimed Hawaii to be United States territory, viewing it as a vital military base. So a lot of times these colonizations, all this stuff that you're seeing is usually done due to military, like usually it's military based. Like Hawaii, imagines like in the middle of this ocean and whatnot. Pretty much see what their agenda was. It was to turn this beautiful land that belonged to these beautiful people into military bases. This damaged Queen Liliuokalani and her people while disobeying international law. Like, imagine all the laws that they were breaking, but back then there was no social media. No one was really understanding what was going on. No one, So pretty much the Queen tried to petition to free her land and to free her people again, and to give Hawaiians their rights, and also for national liberation. Like, she was trying to make a global statement that this is not okay. You can't just come and just colonize and just break us up, So very unfortunate. So when the Queen died in 1917, these dreams were drifting away. A member of the group that forced the Queen out of office once declared, "If we are ever to have peace and annexation, the first thing to do is to obliterate the past." It's very interesting. In order for you to get away with your war crimes, you have to make sure no one sees your tracks. It's pretty much what they said. But they were unable to accomplish this aim. A determined legacy was left by Queen Liliuokalani, whose devotion to her people and country never wavered. There's so much stuff I wasn't able to cover, but I'm just trying to highlight her, her courage and her love for her people. So in her honor, many Hawaiians are still fighting today. And this is a quote that she said. She said, "I would give up my last drop of blood for them." She was referring to the children of Hawaii. So yeah, that quote pretty much does represent the type of person she was. All the movies, all the documentaries I've seen about her, she wasn't just sitting there being oppressed and just letting time pass by. She was writing. She was doing so much to get her voice out there, but her voice was being silenced, and then the voices of her people were being silenced as well. And I just find this very sad, because today, if you see Hawaii, there's a lot of parts of Hawaii where there's still Native Hawaiians still trying to gain their freedom. There's Hawaiians there still trying to there's Hawaiians trying to find a home. There's a lot of homeless Hawaiian natives there. It's really weird to see that. I know homeless people are normal, but I remember when I went to Hawaii and just seeing the homeless Hawaiian people, it wasn't just old elderly people, it was families. It was very, very unfortunate. And then when you cross the street, you go to the very nice area and you can it's like you never saw that, right? But yeah, I just want to say, maybe pray for the people of Hawaii, and even for the fires that happened recently. I'm pretty sure there's people still suffering. So yeah, if there's any Native Hawaiians watching this, God bless you and God bless your family, and I hope you'll be able to return back to your homeland. And I mean this for everyone, everyone who have been taken away from their homes. I'm from Yemen. I'm not gonna lie, I would rather live in Yemen, even though Yemen is going through, a lot. because I feel like in our countries that we're from, we understand the value of life, and we understand the value of family. And I just feel like when we come to America, or just living the American life, I'm not saying we become selfish, but we only think about like your own. Like, we don't think globally. You know, even though we try to, and there are people doing beautiful things for people globally, there's a lot of people right now who don't understand like the value of unity. And I know the word unity is thrown around a lot, but the word unity sometimes means just praying for people. Like, I think a lot of my podcasts recently been coming down to like praying, and I know like that word praying can like be a drag as well, but like sometimes just a single thought in your head or a single prayer in your heart can really change a lot, you know. But thank you guys so much for being here and watching this video all the way through. I hope you guys have a beautiful week. You know, keep working hard, and if you're battling any interior battles, just know at the end of the day, you're gonna succeed. You're gonna persevere. Like, we're very capable as human beings to go through the worst of the worst, but our minds and hearts have to be aligned, you know. Like, just looking around the world right now, people are losing touch with their humanity, and we're just so busy becoming people and not becoming humans. Like, I know I think that quote is like, I see a whole lot of people, but I don't see any humans, or something like that. But it's very true. Like, instead of being people, we need to be humans. I feel like being human can really change so much. But all right, thank you guys so much for listening to this message, and God bless and farewell. And I hope you get to do what you want to do and pursue what you want to pursue. I mean that. The worst thing you can do is live a life that you don't want to live. So maybe all vision the life that we want to live, and God will bring it to fruition if you're sincere about it. All right, farewell. God bless. Have a good one.